Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have my June wrap-up, which I am pretty excited about because I actually read a lot of really good books this month. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read as many books as I normally do, but the ones that I did were definitely worth it. So let's just get right into it. So the first book I read was Longshot by Kennedy Ryan, and this book I gave 3 stars to. Not because I didn't like it, but just because I think it was such a heavy book that I don't think I would ever go back and reread it, because I tend to go back and reread the more like lighter, fluffier, like feel-good kind of books, and this book just wasn't really that. This book is a basketball romance, and it starts out with the girl dating this guy who you can sort of tell right from the beginning is becoming abusive. And definitely like huge trigger warnings with this book and the next book in the series. I haven't read the third one, so I can't comment on that one. But there was just a lot going on with that, and so it was a lot heavier than I was expecting. I tend to think of sports romances as generally being a little more, I guess, surface level kind of books. Not in like a bad way. Like that's usually what I'm looking for when I read a sports romance, so this one like really kind of caught me off guard, and like I wasn't expecting this book to be what it was, and so definitely like read the synopsis for this one. I don't think I read the synopsis at all, so definitely read that. It does have a lot of sort of, I don't want to say like graphic detail, but it's pretty like, it probably is considered graphic detail of what she goes through before she, you know, is able to move on from this guy. And so there was a lot of that in this book, so that's just why it went from, it probably would have been 4 stars for me if it had been something I thought I would reread again, but because it's not, I gave it 3 stars. The next book in the series is called Blockshot, which is, I believe, the guy from the first book's stepbrother, and I liked this one a lot more. It was a lot, it wasn't necessarily lighter, it still has some sort of heavier topics in it, but it was, I found, a lot more enjoyable to read and a lot less sort of like anxiety inducing, I guess. And so this one I gave 4 stars, obviously also by Kennedy Ryan, and I would probably read the third book. The second, after the first one I wasn't sure I was going to continue, but I was glad I read the second one. It's definitely a lot different than anything I've really read because he's more of an agent than a sports player, so that was sort of interesting as well. The next 3 books I read I actually liked a lot more than I thought I was going to. These are all in the Rusk University series, and they are All Lined Up, All Broke Down, and All Played Out. And I gave, All Lined Up is the first one. I gave this one 3 stars. This one is a coach's daughter romance, and I did really like this one, but it wasn't one that I saw myself going back to read again. The second one, All Broke Down, I really liked as well. It was definitely a little bit more unique than anything I've ever read because the couple in this book actually meets in a jail cell. The girl has been arrested for like protesting the closure of a homeless shelter, and the guy has been arrested for getting into a fight, I believe it was. And so they both meet in this jail cell and they go to the same university, and they end up, he sort of like, they make a deal that she's gonna help him like become a better person kind of thing, I guess. And so they sort of get together, and then the third book is my favorite. I gave the third book 4 stars. I really, really like this one. This one is about the roommate of the girl from the second book, and you don't have to read them all in order. You could just read any one of them if you wanted to. But this is the roommate from the second book, and in the second book you see her a lot, kind of just in the background where she's like studying or whatever. She doesn't seem to have much of a social life. And in this book she is sort of dealing with that. She's on track to graduate early, but she sort of realizes that she hasn't done any of the social aspects of college or anything. Like she hasn't really made any friends or gone to parties or anything. So she makes a list of all these things that she's going to do before she graduates. And this guy that you see in the other books as well, who is also on the football team, these are all football romances, by the way, if I didn't say that. But this guy on the football team that she's sort of hanging out with now because her friend is obviously dating a football player, and he's like, finds out about her list, and he's like, I'm gonna help you like cross the things off the list, and she won't ever show him the full list, but what he has, he does like try to help her accomplish, and it's just really cute, and I really liked this one as well. The next book I read was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This one I gave 4 stars, and this one I actually liked a lot more than I was anticipating for some reason. The cartoon covers just like really throw me off of books sometimes, and this one was one of them. This is about it's a brother's best friend. It's about a girl who is a birthday party clown, like for kids' birthday parties, and she really loves it. And I thought I wasn't gonna like that part of the book, but I felt like it wasn't overdone in a way that would annoy me, so I was fine with that. And her brother and her sort of shared this childhood friend who became like a pitcher for I believe he was a pitcher. He's some baseball player anyway, in like a major baseball team, and he ends up being like released from the team, and he comes back home and he's all depressed and just like drinking and whatever, and she goes over to his place and is like, you have to get your life together and like figure out what you're gonna do and whatever, and just sort of tells him to like get off his butt and like start living again. And he has he takes a job with her brother's, like her family business is like home flipping, I guess. So this baseball player decides he's going to take a job with their family business and work with them to flip houses and whatever. And so he does that, and so they're him and the brother are getting closer again, but him and the sister are also getting closer again, and so obviously there's a romance that comes there. And I thought this one was really cute. Like I said, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be for whatever reason. And I also think it's really hilarious that this series is called the Hot and Hammered series, because I did not know that, and I found that when I looked it up on Goodreads, and I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, that's just like a random fun fact, I guess. The next book I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I sort of have mixed feelings about this one because I know that like everybody loves this one. It was like the #1 romance of last year or whatever, and I get it, but I also don't. Like, when I look at this book, like from now that I've read it, I do want to say I listened to this on audiobook, and there were definitely times where I was not paying as much attention as I probably should have been, because I still don't fully understand what her book was about in this book. So maybe it's my own fault that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I just found it was okay. I gave it 4 stars just because I feel like I almost felt like I had to give it 4 or 5 stars. I do want to read the actual paperback and see if I like that better, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll like pay more attention this time. And so yeah, this was like, it wasn't a disappointment, but it was just kind of like, I can't see it being the best romance of the year, I guess, is how I felt afterwards. The next book I read was Intercepted by Alexa Martin. This is another football romance, and in this one it is about a girl who has been with this guy since like high school, like before he was, you know, a professional football player or anything. They've been together forever, and they've sort of had issues where he kind of like doesn't really care about her, like doesn't take her opinion into consideration, and he just like is kind of a jerk, and like he's cheated on her in the past and she knows, and they've like taken a break, and when they took a break she had like a one-night stand with this one guy who ends up getting traded to her boyfriend's team now, and so her boyfriend like hates him, but he doesn't know that they hooked up. There's not a lot I can say about this book because a lot of what the storyline revolves around is a spoiler, so I'm just gonna say something happens and they break up, and she ends up sort of getting closer to this guy who she had the one-night stand with, who's also on the team now. This one I gave 3 stars. I don't know that I'd read it again. It was like pretty good, but again, not something I think I'll read again. Next I read When It's Real, I can't say this title properly ever, When It's Real by Erin Watt, and if you didn't know, Erin Watt is a pen name for Elle Kennedy and Jen, oh man, I'm blanking on her last name. I'll put it in the description, whatever her last name is. But she writes romance books as well. And they also wrote the Royal series, if you've read those books. They're like, right, those ones, the white ones. Those books are really good as well. Totally unrelated. But When It's Real is one that I knew I was going to like for a long time, and it was the last Erin Watt book for me to read, and I kept putting it off because I didn't want to be done with them. But I love this book. I knew I was going to love this book. I gave this one 4 stars just because it wasn't like probably like my all-time favorite, but like I did love it. It's about this guy named Oakley who is like a major, I don't know if he's a pop star, he's like a major, he's like Justin Bieber basically in this book. And he's 19, he's super popular, but his agent or manager or whoever the guy is, I can't even remember, he is like convinced that his career is already kind of gonna go downhill because of his image. Like, they're trying to sort of brand him. And so they are like, okay, we're gonna get you a fake girlfriend. And he's like, but I've had a fake girlfriend before and it didn't work out well because she was a model, and when they broke up she like put all this bad publicity on him. And they're like, no, we're gonna find you a completely normal girl that you're gonna pretend to date. And so he's like, okay, like fine, if that's what will get me to get to produce my album with this producer I want to work with, then fine, I'll do it. And so he agrees. And so the girl, her name's Vaughn in this book, and she is the sister of someone who works at the agency that represents the, like, Oakley. And so the guy that manages Oakley, or is his agent or whatever it is, he walks past his sister's office and sees the picture of her on the wall, and he's like, basically like, she's perfect, she'll work. And they bring her in and they agree to pay her like $20,000 a month or something to be his fake girlfriend. And so she's like fake tweeting him all the time, and they make like this whole story about how they met on Twitter because she tweeted him fan art and whatever. And it's just like really cute. But she has a real boyfriend at the beginning, like, that she's dating before this deal comes up, and she's like, I'm not gonna break up with him for this like fake pop star guy that's not gonna care about me. And obviously things get a little crazy, and like I said, I knew I was gonna love this one. I did love this one. I love books when one of them is famous. It's probably one of my favorite tropes, to be honest. If you have any recommendations of books where someone's famous, leave them down below, because I really liked Breathe by Abby Glines as well, and that was like a very similar kind of concept. And so yeah, let me know about that. And the last book I read this month was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I actually finished this one last night, and I'm still like obsessed with it. Like, I was so scared about this book. I've had it for probably like 9 months now, and I keep putting off reading it because I've had really bad luck with hyped up books lately. Like I was saying, like with Beach Read, I was just kind of meh. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, I didn't like at all. Like, it's just all these romance books that get hyped up, I tend to hate, and so I'm like, it sounded like a concept I was gonna like so much that I was scared it was gonna disappoint me. And I finally read it, and I loved it. The ending, like, literally, I can't, my god, like, the ending of this book is so good. It, like, even if you didn't like the whole rest of the book, the thing that happens that he, like, tells her at the end, I don't want to, like, I'm not gonna say it, obviously, but the thing he tells her at the end is my favorite thing ever on the planet. Like, my god, I love this book so much. I obviously gave it 5 stars. I love it. I can't wait to read 99% Mine, because I know I'm gonna love that one too. And so yeah, those are all the books I read this month, which wasn't really a lot. It was like 10 this month, which is a lot lower than what I normally do. But I've been like skim reading books lately, and so I'm not including those because I feel like I haven't read enough of the book to actually comment on them. But I skim read like 14 books from one series this month, and so that's why that number's so low. Hopefully it'll be back up again next month. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new videos every single Saturday, and I will see you next time.